tuko na njaa. Oi Gachagua, oi Samoei na Ruto tuko na njaa. Nikizani marafiki yanyu, tuliwachagua usiku wa manane. Nisikia ni kutoka Romuruti. Romuruti kwa na njaa. Hakuna kitu iliyo kwa hapa Romuruti. Gachagua, Ruto, Gachagua, Ruto. Nikizani sisi, hii nyumba nimebeba. Amelala njaa siku 3. Mimi nimelala njaa. Hakuna kitu ya kupeupwa. Hakuna kitu bila kura. Gachagua, nisikizani kwa huruma. Gachagua, Ruto yetu, sikizani huruma yetu. Gachagua, Ruto, Ruto, Ruto.
Contrary to what David Ndii is telling William Ruto, I have opted to start this video, this analysis with that video, because it summarizes the problem the country is facing. Welcome to the Bold Analysis. I'm a bit disappointed how a distinguished economist, David Ndii, has been reduced into a political spin master within the State House corridors. And instead of telling William Ruto the truth, he has opted to play the politics of spinning. What am I talking about? I want to check this tweet today, this morning. This tweet was done last night. David is saying, we've bewildered a lot of tenderpreneur generation MPs who thought KK win was back to old Sky Team days when they walk into a ministry, walk out with a project, walk into a parastatal, and walk out with a tender. They are about to get much needed character development. According to David Ndii, the problem why some MPs are revolting is because of tenders. Much as that is also part of the revolt, but I think it also deprives the public, it also deprives William Ruto of the wider view. And if the locally scramble is for tenders, then why is William Ruto also facing rejection even at the global stage?
So this is Kenya's president making a presentation in front of the European Parliament. Pay attention, I'll show you something.
Instances where collective action has achieved what no single nation could accomplish alone. We are acutely aware that our decisions and actions will significantly shape the 21st century.
Very eloquent guy. He even does the thing of finishing on a strong dropping mic and getting a standing ovation. Watch.
For those who will follow our footsteps, I thank you.
There's a bit of a delay, but check this out. They stand and clap with such glee. Oh my gosh. Yay. Wait for it. He's even walked to his seat. Yes, there you go. Yes, oh, show you. Sit next to me. Please sit next to me. This is so good. I loved it. This is so nice. So what was he doing there? Among other things, he was campaigning for a fair global financial regime. That was like 2 days ago. You wouldn't believe what these Europeans did. Actually, you might. The very next day, nearly all European countries voted against Africa's proposition for a fair tax regime. Check this out so you actually see it yourself. So this is the promotion of inclusive and effective international tax cooperation at the United Nations, item 16, It was the day after he had this conversation, right? So here's their voting, just so you know. So Albania, Andorra, Australia, Austria, Belgium, Bosnia, Bulgaria, then you come over here, Canada, Croatia, Cyprus, Chechnya, Denmark, Estonia, Finland, France, Georgia, Germany, Greece, Hungary, Ireland, Israel, Italy, Japan, Latvia, Liechtenstein, Lithuania, Luxembourg, Malta, Monaco, Montenegro, Netherlands, New Zealand, North Macedonia, Poland, Portugal, Korea, Moldova, Romania, San Marino, Serbia, Slovakia, Slovenia, Spain, Sweden, Switzerland, Ukraine, United Kingdom, and obviously the United States. So irrespective of your politics, and I'm not trying to pick a side, that's not even about the local, whether it was Malawian or Zimbabwean or South African or Moroccan or Egyptian or Ugandan. This is just an African conversation. It's not a matter of the person who gave the speech. It's a matter of the people who want to act like they're supporting the continent and don't. You have to understand who your real enemies are. Enemies is maybe a strong word. I don't know what else the word could be. And it's clear it's going to get harder, not just because it's getting harder in general, but because it's getting harder because there's folks on the other side of the table who want it to be hard for you. Now, if you know any better than I do, stitch this video and educate us, because as far as I'm concerned, this is cognitive dissonance in its entirety. It's folks giving a standing ovation to somebody campaigning for something, then turning around and shooting it down, knowing that 1.5 billion people are going to be affected by it. It's a psychotic way of thinking, but it's unsurprisingly European. Educate me if you know better.
Look at this. So, I have noted a number of MPs that have been confronting William Ruto publicly. And it did start today because some 2 days to the State of Nation address, William Ruto met with the UDA MPs, and unanimously UDA MPs confronted the president, telling him that the ground is hostile. So recently we have seen Bumula MP, we have seen Didmas Baraza, we've seen Bone Halwale, Okia Omtata, and latestly Samuel Moroto. Samuel Moroto even went public and said that he's apologizing for the voters of Kapanguria, why he supported UDA, and he was reacting to the resurgence of insecurity in West Pokot after bandits killed some people there. And he was saying that because they elected Kenyan, they thought that will be arrested. Now I want you to get a collection of that reaction. And I've also put up the bodaboda guy there.
Hii sehemu ya chini ni serikali ndio inachochea. Na si serikali gani ni hii. Hata mimi ni member ya UDA. Na regret kwa nini nilichakua hii. Ambayo inaletea hata sangine itafanya nisiende mbinguni. Naomba msamaha Mungu.
Nothing has happened. Ni mikutano, kutenga, kupanga, tutafanya. Amesahau hata alikuwa juzi hapa na mkutano Kakamega kaita viongozi wote wa Western. Saa hii ameita tena watu wa Kakamega ati kupanga, ati next year, ati sijui tutafanya nini. Sisi it will not be business as usual. Mheshimiwa Rais, tumechoka. Tumechoka kuwa wa Kenya. Tumechoka tukiwa wakazi wa Bungoma, tumechoka. Hakuna siku utatupatia 0.3 over kilometer Bungoma yote. And shame on you.
If we are serious and concerned about the lives of our people, lazima tufanye maisha ya watu wetu not to be very expensive. Kwa sababu tukipandisha mafuta kwa sababu ya kodi, in the process tutapoteza kodi mingi, kwa sababu biashara mingi itaanguka. It's very interesting. Ukitembea Uganda ama uende Tanzania, mafuta iko chini. Na ile mafuta iko Uganda inapitia Kenya.
Of those commodities or the effects of those commodities on their lives. But when I look at it, I don't see it in President William Ruto, especially now that he has surrendered his mind to the mind of the IMF and the World Bank. IMF and the World Bank have just one purpose, to create client states. And if you look at the policies that have been rolled out by the Kenya Kwanza government, they are largely designed to make Kenya a client state, to put Kenya on its knees so that you can keep on moving around with a beggar's ball. Production in Kenya has become too expensive. So everything is going to shrink, the economy is going to collapse, and we shall begin begging all over the world. And we shall be a perfect client state for the West. So William Ruto, I think, is empty. This head is empty in terms of what are the existential threats that face the black people, that face Africans. He swallowed the issues of the white man, the way they are packaged. He doesn't understand crony capitalism, how it works.
Now, I leave alone even the MPs, the Okia Omtata and those MPs and Moroto. That border guy is summarizing the problem. Because from what you can see there, what that border guy is saying, that is the issue. The issue here is not about tenders. And I think for Kenyans, David Ndii should do better by giving, I think he can do better by giving William Ruto the truthful account and the wider view of the whole thing. The flawed tenders is what is putting us in this deep end. If you look at the edible oil tender, it is not about who was given and who was not given. What is the problem here is, despite of the import, Kenyans, some importers given the grace period or given some privilege of importing duty-free, it failed to address the issue, which was, the intention was supposed to be that they reduce the price of the commodities, the oil. But it didn't achieve that objective. So that is the bone of contention. And that is for the wider public. Number two, look at G2G. G2G was supposed to help us stabilize the shilling and also stabilize the prices of petrol, of fuel products. That has failed. Then it has turned into a big flop. Ruto recently addressed empty chairs during the Hustler Fund launch anniversary here in Nairobi. And you can see, empty chairs. This Ruto arrived, and I told he arrived early and could not still walk to the event because the chairs were not yet filled. And now they had to make calls and make arrangements for people to occupy those seats because they believed that the turnout was still low. So, but while that is going on, President still puts a brave face, insisting that things are just right. And according to him, he comes out in public saying, I have stabilized the economy.
Leo mimi nimefurahi sana as we celebrate this first anniversary of Hustler Fund. We have a tremendous movement that has been created out of this Hustler Fund initiative. Kwanza niko na mambo kama matano hivi nitasema hapa. Sio yale matatu, leo ni matano. Kwanza mimi nataka niwaeleze Wakenya wenzangu ya kwamba tulikubaliana ya kwamba tutakuwa na taifa ambayo haitaacha wengine nyuma wakati tunapiga hatua ya kwenda mbele. Tulikubaliana ya kwamba Kenya ni ya Wakenya wote. Na Kenya, tunataka Kenya ambayo Wakenya wote watajivunia kuwa Wakenya. Kazi yetu ya kwanza, tulikubaliana ya kwamba uchumi wetu ulikuwa katika hali mbaya sana. Madeni yalikuwa yametusonga kama taifa. Matatizo ya hata kugharamia kulipa hiyo madeni ilikuwa ni ndoto chafu. Ilikuwa ni hali ambayo Wakenya wengi walikuwa wanashangaa tutatoka hapa kwa njia gani. Mimi nataka niwatangazie Wakenya ya kwamba sasa tumedhibiti uchumi wa taifa letu la Kenya.
Na vile maisha iko juu kwa sababu ya vile mafuta imepanda, imeaffect kila kitu. Sekta ya bodaboda, sekta ya transport, sekta ya vitu ya kuuza kwa manduka imeaffectiwa yote. Na ningetoa maoni kwa Mheshimiwa Rais Ruto, aangalie vile alikuwa anaenda tu akitoa promise ya kwamba ataangalia vitu iende chini. Aangalie mafuta kwanza ikiteremuka, ndio basic ya commodity zote. Mafuta ikiteremuka, vitu zile zingine zote itaremuka. Kwa mfano katika sekta ya bodaboda, unakuta ulikuwa tunabeba customer na pesa ndogo. Lakini saa hii ukimwambia ile pesa anafaa kulipa ili umbebe, yeye ana prefer either aende na miguu ama aende saa zingine, lakini sio asubuhi na jioni kila siku. Kwa hiyo imeaffect sekta zote ya bodaboda, ya tuku, ya kila, hata ya manduka.
So that is the big problem that I do honestly see. You are saying you have stabilized the economy. You are saying everything is fine. but you know, it doesn't reflect in people's pockets. That's the biggest problem. That despite of the messaging outside by the political that things are fine and we seems to have fixed the mess, that is not reflecting in people's homes, is not reflecting in people's pockets. Kenyans are still suffering. And instead of taking a narrow path, it's actually an escape route that those leading revolt are looking for tenders. Partly, those looking for tenders constitute some percentage. And of course, how many MPs are looking for tenders? Let's argue. And is it that, for example, look at Cherargei. Cherargei has been arguing that give us these tenders because the tenders you are giving us, the tenders you are giving Chinese, how will we benefit? He raises some legitimate question, but that is him. Now, does that apply to the public revolt? Is the public revolt about tenders? Is Hustler looking for tenders? No. Hustler is not in the tendering table. Doesn't even know whether a tender is available. But the Hustler is looking for services. And the reason why I feel like it's a bit a narrow escape path. President himself, William Ruto, was heckled in Mombasa. Yes, he was heckled in Mombasa. And there's some areas that recently he's been even avoiding. So Ruto was heckled in Mombasa. And also recently during a church service that was in Nairobi West. He tried to address a rally in Nairobi West. There was cold reception. And people were asking him the tough questions. He was also in Kirinyaga. He went to Kirinyaga. Things were not very good. There was cold reception. In own backyard, Bomet, Davis Chirchir was heckled. Not far away from there, the following week in Baringo, Murkomen was booed. So, you know, as much as you would want to take a comfortable, easier path that people are still managing, I think to William Ruto, he must have the wider view. Because the truth of the matter here is that the biggest challenge is that contrary to expectations that were raised during campaign trail, those expectations are not met, and there is no slightest indication that people are even caring to meet those expectations. That's the simple, easiest understanding of the same. You will also understand, and before I interpret the David Ndii tender spin, I wanted to look at these MPs are close to their constituents. They work within a constituency. They attend funerals every weekend. They attend events like weddings in their constituencies. They are close to the voters. And for example, look at look at Bungoma. Bungoma has not been easy, and I have chosen this video clip from Bungoma about people coming out to regret that, look here, that is Wetangula's place. Look here, we made a mistake to vote for William Ruto. That was in a funeral. So you know what's happening here is, even there are some MPs that are positioning themselves on how they can advance their individual political career. You cannot cling on William Ruto while you are not standing to gain. Didmus Baraza wants to be the governor of Bungoma. And he knows very well that he's going to face some competition from the opposition side and also even on the UDA. And those who are anti-government are getting traction because they are seen as if they are fighting for the rights of the people. You know, if you stand with government, now you may not be seen as fighting for the rest of the people. So there are also those that are moving, positioning. Look at the Nandi Hills MP, Alfred Keter. Is Alfred Keter revolting because of a tender? No. Does he even have access to those offices giving tenders? No. Even the opposition that is running anti-government campaigns, are they angling for tenders? No. So it's not true that everything is about tender. Alfred Keter knows very well that the ground is shifting. And for himself, he is just telling his constituents what he is. And remember, he's been constant on that. Not that he's starting it today. And so I want to interpret David Ndii's spin using these three, looking at these three aspects. Ruto, if Ruto is not careful, he's surrounded by a club of propagandists. And these people seems to have resorted to propaganda because probably they're telling William Ruto what William Ruto wants to hear. You know, when you brandish MPs as people who are just revolting because they're looking for tenders here and there, maybe that's what William Ruto wants to hear. And so there is no need of giving him the real picture. And I wish there would be a bit objective and just be free and open and give him the big picture. You know, there have been calls for William Ruto to audit these people he's calling his advisors. There have been calls, and MPs, quite a number of even experts have been asking, William Ruto needs to look right, left, and center, east, north, and south, and ask himself a tough question. Am I surrounded with the right men and women? Or am I surrounded just the brand of politicians that are just looking for populist ways? You know, he's been blowing hot and cold. On the other day, he's hitting William Ruto. Now he's hitting MP. So, but there seems to be a strategy to shield William Ruto and say, no, Ruto is right. It's MPs that are revolting. Forget about it. MPs are not suffering. If MPs that are looking for tenders are just looking for business, but in real sense, they're not suffering like Hustler. Hustler is suffering. Number two, I tended to see that the intelligence is not giving Ruto the real picture on ground. The intelligence is not giving the real picture. And what is the work of the intelligence? You know, they need to tell President, Mr. President, if an election is done today, you will be home dry. You will be home. You will be ejected out of office. And if there is an election called anytime around here, I'm telling you, William Ruto might not get it easy if an election is to be called today. And maybe there is a bit of these pains because Ruto himself seems to have entertained them. He gets back and is told, forget about that Kapengura protest. Those people are not protesting about the bandits. You know, in Kapengura there was even a protest. Those protests have just been organized by those MPs. But look at here. The damage is being caused. Even if MP or someone, a leader, is maybe marshalling people to protest, but the damage is already being caused. So you cannot underestimate the fact that Kenyans are revolting. Number two, or lastly, one thing I see is the opposition must amplify Kenya Kwanza flaws because Ruto has turned blind and has allowed himself to be cheated like a kid. This must be amplified. And I have seen two leaders. I have seen David Murathe. I have seen Wanjigi, even though I know very well they don't have the political machinery to do it, saying, you know, talking of a revolution. There is something I used to say in this podcast sometime, and I'll just repeat it. Ruto himself and the Kenya Kwanza team have said, we want accountability. We want to be asked questions. We want to be challenged. And if Kenyans cannot ask Ruto the tough questions, then I'm telling you, they're the ones that are going to lose the dividends in government. Those who cannot ask the tough questions will not get the dividends in Kenya Kwanza, from Kenya Kwanza. They are not going to get it. because the Kenya Kwanza have said there is something happening. They're only looking at areas that are revolting, those who have the risk of not voting for them. So if the more you become violent and you employ violence, the more you're even most likely to get the attention of the president. So ladies and gentlemen, that is my take. Kindly subscribe to our channel, click the notification bell and like our video. I continue reminding our subscribers and people that follow this podcast. I said in this month of December, I will do public awareness on accidents. People are traveling home. I regret the morning accident in Londiani just in the wake of this, today dawn. Yeah, it has claimed lives. I think 5 and 10 injured. As we drive home, getting to the festive season, we are praying that may God protect us. Kindly drive safely. And if you can always avoid. Don't drink and drive, because we want to meet again next year in 2024. As we complete the year, let's be a bit careful on the road. Thank you.